Hey guys, Patrick Johnston back here one more time on the 2.0 University series that we have going on here about education on how to make your life transition from somewhere else to the beach. No matter what beach you choose in the Dominican Republic, there's lots to choose from. Even if you don't want to choose the beach and you choose city life, it's still much better than life where you have to wear shoes and different clothing 4 times a year. So here we are. So I'm the managing broker and co-owner of GoDominican Life. We have physical offices in the North Coast in Sosua, as well as here in Las Terrenas, and a satellite office, if you will, in Bavaro, Punta Cana. And we're here to help people get to understand everything that you need to know beforehand, than coming down and just starting your tour. But one of the most suggested videos recently has been, how do you get proper immigration documents or residency here in the Dominican Republic? So I could do a video trying to explain how to do it because I'm in the middle of that process right now. But rather than me even trying to say it, I wanted to bring on the expert in the country. Maria Abreu is with us right now. Maria Abreu is with Abreu and Associates Immigration Services Consulting Extraordinaire. And we've known each other off and on for a few years now.
Yeah, we have.
But we were asked to be a speaker at her event, which was a few months ago in Santo Domingo, which was very, very successful. We'll talk about that later on. So I want to bring that up again because it's going to be a great event coming up again this coming year. But Maria, the floor is yours. Let's talk about life going from 1.0 to 2.0. Why don't you give a brief description of who you are, where you're from, what you do?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on your channel. I'm a big fan of yours. And guys, I have to let you know he's an amazing presenter, okay? He just stole the show straight across the board. He has this personality that people just, are very attracted to. So they're always asking me about you. And I forwarded your information. I don't even know how many people. I'm like, let's just
That's cool.
let them get their fix. But aside from the fact that your project is amazing, but well, I've been an expat myself for about 20 years. I arrived in the country. My parents are Dominican, but I was born in the U.S. So I'm considered a foreigner, believe it or not. Now, I got citizenship through what we call the transcription process, because when someone is born to a Dominican-born parent, you are entitled to have, your citizenship. So you go through a 30-day process, takes anywhere between 30 to 90 days, and you're grandfathered into citizenship. But I'm still considered an expat,
Yeah, that's right.
Born and raised, and then you came here when you were 33, get out of here. So I'm like part of both worlds, okay? My parents were very Dominican traditional. They were much into Dominican tradition. So when I came to the country, I wasn't shocked at all. It was like seeing, replicas of my parents everywhere. It was like hearing that. I hear their words echoed in the people that we've met here. So I wanted to come. It's been a great life. I was practicing in the U.S. in New York. I was about 18 years into being in a law firm over there. And by the way, when I moved to the DR, I kept working for that same law firm for about 7 years. Wow. And then as I've explained in my, bio and videos in my channel, at some point I partnered up with a friend. I went to law school here, and, so the practice was born. The firm was born. Mm-hmm. And it came from a need to help expats because, I came in here and said, yeah, I could handle this. Please, residency in a foreign country, that's no brainer. You would not believe all that I went through.
Yeah,
being illegal in the States did not help it.
Skills, connections. Yeah.
Being a legal eagle in the States did not help it, honey. I went through it. So at some point I started to think, other expats, especially retirees who they're coming to the country to relax. This is not what they're coming for. These folks need help. And then that went snowballing into other things because obviously, when people contact us for legal services, there are other things they want. We're their first contact, to the country. Where should I buy? Where should I rent? Little things that as an expat I share, we go the extra mile because having gone through that process of moving and relocating to this country, we're empathetic. As I've said before, what sets us apart is not that we're better than any other firm per se. It's we are you. We are expats who went through it, had to pick up and relocate and acclimate to life in a different country, had to get used to the way things things are done here. So that's what sets us apart. We're empathetic, and that leads us to go the extra mile for the people that we represent. And later on, I'll explain that's why we have these conferences. It's all for you, for the expat community looking to come here. So anyway, long story short, the firm has been around for 12 years, and we provide services from immigration to registering companies, setting up bank accounts, helping to, connect people with whoever they need to connect with for real estate needs. So people who want real estate, they want to come, they want a turnkey investment, they want to buy their own home just to retire in. So we connect them, and that's how I met Patrick, because Patrick is, guy's the best. I got to tell you, he's good. So that's how we met, and that's part of the service that we provide. All right. Yeah. We also provide for our clients other services that we don't advertise because I don't want a whole bunch of people calling me about I want to get married. Set that up for me. I'm getting divorced. Handle my divorce. So there are areas of so we don't want to get into handling divorces. We refer those out.
No.
Those can get
happy law. Happy law is a little bit different.
Happy law, yes, we do. So we make sure to connect you with the right person, but we're not going to handle nasty divorces. But anyway, that's what our specialty is, okay? And we're based out of Santo Domingo. Mm-hmm. So just so that people know, we're based out of Santo. We have clients from all over the country. Most of our clients do not live in the country. Yeah. We handle their case remotely, so that whenever it's time for them to make trips, they come. But most of them just want a plan B. They're not ready to make the move of, living here. They just want investments here. They want to get that nest egg going. So they want investments, they want bank accounts, they want residency, and a good number of them want citizenship, but they don't exactly live here. So we represent them remotely. Okay.
What are the biggest benefits of why an expat, retired or otherwise, would want to establish residency? And does that mean they give up their citizenship from where they're from?
No. The U.S. recognizes dual citizenship, and so does the DR. So becoming a Dominican citizen does not mean that you have to renounce your U.S. citizenship, okay? No nationality is required to do that, all right? Mm-hmm. Now, in countries like, I guess, Germany, it's different because Germany would require that. But the U.S. doesn't, Canadians can't. Most people can have dual citizenship. And in fact, most of my clients have their citizenships, multiple, actually. I would say the benefit of residency, first of all, and I've always been curious about this. I mean, folks are willing to come here, set up bank accounts, and they're willing to invest, a couple of $100,000, in a property. And yet to get residency, they're running scared. They will sooner buy a property than get residency, which is by far a less expensive process and brings a lot of benefits. One of which, I have to say, I have observed that people who have investments or roots in the country, banking, they get into the bond market, they get into, they buy property, not only for, to spend time, but to also rent out as Airbnb. If you're vested in the country, I have seen that their tendency every once in a while is to stay extended amounts of time in the country.
Yeah.
So it would make sense to have legal status. And this is a protection, and I'll tell you why. During the last administration, a tendency started to grow. And I've mentioned this in other channels I've been interviewed by and in my own YouTube channel. And the tendency was to not recognize real estate as an investment, as a valid investment worthy of getting you residency. So you actually had people who had bought very expensive homes, and it would not qualify them for residency because that particular administration did not feel that it was enough of an investment, that it was not considered enough of a reason to give you permanence in the country, which is what residency, actually is. It allows you to live here. So here you had a situation where people had bank accounts, they had expensive homes, and yet their visas were denied for residency. Can you possibly imagine that?
Yeah. No, it just seems so, it's like wearing a business suit without a shirt.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you're almost there, but you're not quite there, right?
Yeah, and then the overstay is something I've discussed in the past. Listen, folks. I'm gonna explain something to you. Everybody talks about paying the tax when you leave the country. Okay, that's not a right. It's not an incentive. It's a penalty. You're being penalized for having broken, I'm not going to say broken the law, but the law establishes this is how long you're allowed to stay. It's established in the law. So it is a way of breaking the law. I just don't like using the term because it seems kind of harsh, but you are breaking the law.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So you're penalized by being charged when you leave the country. The problem with that is that, about 3 years ago, I remember back in 2017, immigration decided that they wanted to start, coming down on that. They wanted to hunker down. It's time to respect the law. The law doesn't allow this, and whoever does it is not going to be allowed back in. So people who had a tendency to overstay were finding that when they were trying to come back to the country, they were not allowed in unless they came back with a residence visa issued by a consulate. Okay? Because I remember our phones went insane.
Yeah.
People were calling us from the airport and telling us, I'm here, they won't let me in. I'm like, there's nothing I could do. They're within their rights. They're enforcing the law.
They're enforcing the law,
So, I mean, it's like, okay, so you live in Las Terrenas. It's the same thing as when a motorist goes around without a helmet, and one fine day you have the cops in every corner taking the motorcycles away from people who don't have helmets. You're like, wait a minute, we've always been able to do that. I know, but today we woke up in the mood to enforce the law, and you're breaking it. So they're within their rights. And the DR is notorious for doing that. Yeah. They'll wake up one fine day and be like, today it's on, all right?
Week before Christmas, week before Easter, week before any major holiday. We put the tin cans on our hat, on our head, and we drive around with crazy looking at it.
So, guys, it's not happening, but it doesn't mean it won't. It has happened. I'll tell you another little horror story. Back in 2012, and I'm never going to forget this. See, when I first came to the DR, you weren't required to have a visa to apply for residency. So you could pretty much come in with your documents, okay, on a tourist card, and then interpose an application for residency. Comes 2012, and the director signs a resolution indicating that what the law establishes, which is that people coming to apply for residency have to present a visa issued by a consulate, is going to now be implemented. It's going to be enforced. So this guy signs the resolution, gives the attorneys by word of mouth through a general meeting, forewarning that this was coming. Okay. And so he enforces it. So people were not aware that this was happening. They were coming with their files to immigration. They're like, you need a visa from a consulate. What? So they didn't know. Nobody knew what was going on. But this is the kicker. So we called it. I'm like, all right, everybody needs a visa now. We got to start getting these visas done from the, with the consulates before we can, apply for residency here. We called the consulates, and the consulate, I swear I remember this like it happened yesterday. I called the consulate. They were like, people don't need a visa to get residency. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yes, they do.
Ooh.
Yeah, they do. They're like, no, they don't. They're like, yeah, they do. Here's the number you should call so you can see what's going on here. So the consulates, so the consulates who are under the auspices of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs didn't know what the heck was going on. They didn't know. So you cannot imagine, Patrick, the mayhem that took place from that date to 2 years out before all of this got organized.
Yeah.
So people who had not been back home for years, all of a sudden had to schedule themselves a trip to go to home, apply for the visa through the consulate, the Dominican consulate, in their country of origin, to then come and apply for residency. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Without prior warning, I went through, I remember I had practically no sleep those 2 years.
Yeah. The whole world would be turned upside down and with not really knowing what was going to happen. Planes are landing and that's it, right?
So this is what I'm talking about, guys. I've been in this business a long time. I can tell you stories about situations that change overnight. And people were not expecting it. And they were screaming bloody murder, but it's in the law. The thing is that for decades, that law was not being enforced. So herein lies the problem. You can do this overstay payment. I'm not saying they're doing it now. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm saying they may do it at any moment. Who wants to live like that?
No, like if you look at it in realistic terms, if you're a Canadian or American citizen, think of how easy we've had it to come to the Dominican Republic and literally, within a matter of reason, do whatever you want, stay as long as you want, pay the fee or gift or penalty. But can you imagine a Dominican coming to the US or Canada and trying to do the exact same thing? I mean, hell would freeze over. So I understand fully, and I respect that, and that to the point that in the last couple of years at all airports, everything went from a paper base, write your name, and you could put Fred Flintstone, I live at 123 Main Street, and nobody would say anything. Now it's your thumbprints, not a photo yet, but a thumbprint, full scan. You see your passport on the computer right in front of you, and everything's going like getting organized, getting caught up with the rest of the world. So it's just a matter of time, and that's the pro and con of it. Or the pro of it is that it's given the freedom for many people to consider investing and trying and doing what they want. But every other island in the Caribbean or every other nation in the world has they have rules and they enforce them with absolute force.
And the thing is, if you think about it, isn't that what a foreigner wants? You want to know that you're coming to a country that is organized, that has rules to be followed, that places certain filters to, keep out unwanted elements. You want that. Who wants to go to a country where it's a free-for-all? You're not going to feel safe. You're going to feel like you're standing, on ground on unsolid ground. So we have to look at this as progress that is convenient for all of us. We all want, especially foreigners who sometimes tend to feel a little bit intimidated by the fact that it's a different culture. They don't speak the language. So you want to know that the DR is evolving in this way. Yeah. But and that you're doing your part to contribute to the order that the country is trying to establish.
That's right. So there's many types of residency that people can go through. Some of them appear to be automatic. There's we'll talk about the real estate version of that at the end. I applied or started that process as a pensioner, which I can't even say that because it doesn't even make sense when I say that, but it's true. You're a young
pensioner. Hey, that's
retired
lucky.
In 2014, and I'm a pensioner, so I'm coming in that. But there's other types. So what are the types of residency that people can apply under?
Okay, so and I want to tackle the whole real estate thing. I want to explain this. Real estate, as I said, and this years ago, let me go back a little bit. I want to start by saying that the visa process, which is supervised and handled by the consulates under the supervision of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, is a separate process than actual residency, which is handled by the Immigration Department. And I'm going to tell you why this is important to know. Even though the documents you present for the visa and the process is similar, it varies. Okay, it's not exactly the same. And I'll tell you why. If I go to immigration and I present a title for a property worth $200,000 or more, okay, a title in my name, I will qualify for permanent residency under the investment program. And I'll get the fast track residency, which is fast track, just so you guys get caught up, is a name that we use for residency under the investment department. And the reason we call it the fast track is because it's a fast track towards citizenship. Okay, just so that you know. So that is one way that if you go there, you qualify. If you take that same title and you present it to the Dominican consulate, they will not grant a visa. Unless that title is granted to you by a project that is under the Confitur incentive. Right. The Confitur incentive is an incentive provided by the Ministry of Tourism to big projects, okay, as a way to attract investors. And basically, that certification it's a get out of tax, free. It's a tax-free card or get out of jail card. You're not ever going to get caught in the tax net. Meaning, the transfer tax to transfer the title to your name, which is a 3% tax, 3% of the worth of the property, you're exempted from that. You're exempted from paying property taxes. You're exempted from paying taxes on monies earned. Income earned.
Money earned from real estate.
Yes, right? Correct. Of that project. So if you buy a condo or a villa and you rent it, and you make money, you make rental income, you're not going to be taxed on that. And that incentive covers people from 10 to 15 years. Okay. Yep. So for the consulate to consider that title that you present, worthy of being issued a visa, it has to be the project has to have the Confitur incentive. Yeah. Okay. So, as I said, this is something that we're still arguing with the powers that be, because we're trying to argue that title, if it's 200,000 or more, it is proof that you qualify for investment residency. It is an investment.
Does it have to be free and clear title, or could it have a mortgage associated with it?
It has to be free and clear,
Yeah.
because
So
one
you
of the
have to
documents.
truly make the investment, not the
Yes,
guarantee that you're
because
going to make
one of the
payments.
things that we need to present is the certificate of judicial status on that title. Meaning, if it has a mortgage, if there's any kind of litigation on it, it's going to appear in that certification, and that valid would not be, and that title would not be valid for the residency process. Now, if that property, the worth of the property is less than 200,000, that can qualify you for temporary residency. Temporary residency, the requirements are less. Why?
Okay.
Because you're not required to show that you have an income, a passive income of 2,000 per month, or 1,500 as a pensioner. You don't have to show 200,000. You just have to show that you have solvency. And for temporary residency, the solvency can come in the form of a letter from a Dominican bank showing that you have 50,000 pesos or more. It could be the title of a property. It could be the title to a vehicle. So temporary residency, the requirements are less strenuous, let's just say. For investment residency, it's a little more strict, because you have to show the income that you earn per month from whatever the source. Okay, and the investment has to be a minimum of 200,000.
Sure.
Now, so a rentista or a foreign investor, translated, is a person who earns passive income from, an investment source. Could be in the country, could be abroad. It's 2,000. They earn 2,000, minimum of 2,000 per month, and it has to be for the last 5 years. So if you own a company back home and it's been registered for 5 years and you earn 2,000 or more, you qualify for investment residency as a rentista. Okay. If you earn the same amount from annuities, passive income from investments like real estate, rental income. So if you have property, you have it rented out back home, and that property yields 2,000 or more, you've had it for a minimum of 5 years, it qualifies you. Okay. And then, of course, we have the 200,000, which there are different ways to invest. You can invest by buying property, Confitor with the Confitor incentive. You can open up a bank CD here in the DR, set up a bank account, and then invest 200,000 in a CD. You can invest in the bond market here, a minimum of 200,000. So that all of that will qualify you for residency under the investment program. Okay. Also, if you decide to buy shares in a company here in the DR, registered in the DR, with a minimum of 200,000, that is also certified by the Center of Investment and Exportation, and that too will qualify you for residency through the investment program, right? Now, temporary residency is different. Before I get into that, so the permanent residency, and I hope I'm being clear. Am I explaining this okay? Because I don't want to confuse people.
Yeah.
Is it clear enough?
Yeah, it's clear to me so far. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, it's clear to me.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
It's clear to me.
Can you hear me? I cannot hear you.
Ooh.
You hear me now?
I can hear you. I can hear you. You can hear me?
Okay, I couldn't hear you.
Okay,
right,
that wasn't planned, everybody, but just so you know, this is live.
Am I messing up your show?
No, this is how it rolls.
All right, guys, it's a Friday and I've had a hard week. Okay, so
Yeah, that's right.
I'm a little off. All right, I just want to make sure that I'm explaining this okay, because I find that, we do it like clockwork because we do this day in and day out. But when it comes time to explain it, sometimes people are a bit more confused than enlightened. And I don't want that to happen in this case. So, Patrick, if you feel that at some point it's getting jumbled, just please let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So now, temporary residency is renewable every year for 4 years. So you have your first year of temporary residency, and then you're going to renew 4 times for a total of 5. Okay. On the 5th year, or rather on the 6th, you can apply for a change of status to permanent residency under the ordinary track. Why do I call it the ordinary track? So permanent residency through the investment program and permanent residency after you go through 5 years of temporary is different. How so? Well, permanent residency under the ordinary track is renewable every 4 years. And every 4 years, you have to take a medical exam. You have to have a medical exam performed by the medical facility that's certified by immigration. That's part of how you renew. To become a citizen under the ordinary track, you would need 5 years of temporary and 2 years of permanent. At that point, you can interpose an application for citizenship, which leads to a second passport. So if we do our math, it's 5 of temporary, 2 of permanent. That's 7 years. Okay?
Yeah, sure. Yep.
Now, residency under the investment department, okay? You become a permanent resident from the outset. You never go through temporary. The minute you're issued residency, it is permanent residency, okay? And 6 months after being issued that residency, you can apply for citizenship. That's why we call it the fast track, okay? Because it's the quickest way to get to citizenship, which I find is the ultimate goal of most people that apply for that category of residency. Okay, so here again, you are either a pensioner earning $1,500 a month or more. $1,750.
Let me get my walker.
Yes, you can't pull that off. You have too much vitality. Are you kidding me? So you have $1,500 or more, $1,750 per couple monthly. You are a rentista or foreign investor earning $2,000 or more for 5 years from an independent, source, such as a business, rental income, residual income from investments, or you invested $200,000. All right. So those 3 get you into residency through the fast track. All right. Now, permanent residency through the fast track is renewable after the first year and then every 2 years thereafter. And you don't have to undergo a medical exam. You don't. All right. So that form of residency, in the end, even though it seems more costly, will actually save you money. It comes out to the same thing. It
time,
does.
energy, mindset, everything, right?
Absolutely. Then you have residency for a person married to a Dominican citizen. All right. That's considered family reunification, or if children of Dominican parents who are residents. Because a lot of times the parents will get the residency and their minor kids, they won't give it too much importance. So they'll focus on the parents getting the residency and their kids don't have status. So when you either are applying for a spouse or for a child, that's called family reunification. Okay. Now, the benefit to that is that if you're married to a Dominican citizen, right, for a minimum of 2 years, you can apply for temporary residency and 6 months later apply for citizenship. You go from temporary to citizenship because you've been married to a Dominican citizen for a minimum of 2 years. Okay.
So you can actually have a a temporary marriage to get permanent residency? But you have minimum of 2 years. Minimum of 2 years. Not that we would say that, but
we would never say that.
no. But
I didn't. I'm telling you the rules.
That's right. What you do after 2 years is up to you.
Yeah. So that's another way to go. All right.
Yeah.
Now, there's also, and this was popular, what they call the it's not religious residency, it's residency, it's the RT4, which is provided to, religious missionaries, people who work for NGOs. They could get that type. So if you want to do volunteer work with an organization that's registered in the DR, you can apply for temporary residency. RT4. What is RT4? RT4 means that you don't get a cedula. You get a residency card, but you don't get a cedula because you are a temporary resident for a purpose. You understand? Yeah. Not to live here, not to work here, but to be legal here to carry out your, volunteer work, whatever that may be. Okay. So that's another category. These are the most popular, by the way, because there are a bunch, but these are the most popular. Okay. What we see most coming through the office. All right. Now, naturalization or citizenship through why do we call it naturalization? This is interesting. There are two forms of citizenships. It's the same thing. You're still a Dominican citizen. These two, what I would say denominations, just explain how you became a citizen. A Dominican citizen is natural born. They were born in the DR, so they are citizens. A naturalized citizen is someone who became a citizen through a legal process. They first became residents and then they applied for citizenship. Now, listen, however you want to say it, you're still a citizen with all the same rights. A naturalized citizen has the same rights as a Dominican citizen. This is just to show how they became citizens. One was born a citizen, the other one became a citizen through a legal process. Now, interesting thing about naturalized Dominicans who have children that want to become citizens must first go through residency. Okay, so unlike the children of Dominican-born citizens that could just do a quick transcription process, 30 days I'm a citizen, with a transcribed Dominican birth certificate, the children of naturalized Dominicans have to first go through residency. The advantage is that a day after they get their residency card, they could right off the bat interpose an application for citizenship. But they have to go through the regular process. Okay? They don't go through a transcription process. They have to go through residency and then through naturalization. Okay? Was that clear? It just seemed like a mouthful.
Well, it is. It appears complicated, but when you hear it a few times, and I guess anyone watching this video will go back and listen to it a few times in the parts that make the most sense for them. But I guess in the bottom line, we're all saying the same thing, is that if you're going to be here a long time, or you're going to retire here and be 6 months and 6 months back in your home country, it makes sense to be recognized as being a card-carrying person in this country, just for all things. It's a respect thing. It's an organizational thing. And to be honest, you feel Dominican. You feel the closest you can be to being Dominican is being a card-carrying member, and it's a lot of a pride, right? But I think at the end of the day, I think as we go through and wrap up on this topic, it all comes down to really identifying sort of your strengths and weaknesses and what your financial background is and how you're going to get here that way. But then I think to book an appointment with you, a consultation, so that you can narrow it down. And the other part too of it is that I know language barrier can be a lot of an issue for many, many people. But knowing that English is widely spoken in this conversation, it makes it a lot less intimidating for somebody that is not knowing, like me, how to speak Spanish fluently to understand the process. So
Yeah,
I know you're going to help a lot of people within our group, in our subscriber base and clients, and as you have with many other real estate companies and throughout the country. You're known as being the number one for immigration. So.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, I love working with people, and I love seeing how people's goals materialize. Sometimes I remember it takes me back to when I was coming to the country. You know, there are two processes that take place when a person wants to relocate.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole to-do list, the legal process, find a place to stay, find a place to buy, open up, like there's that whole to-do list. But then there's a whole emotional process taking place. You know, there's a whole worry about, you know, will I get sick? Will the food affect me? Will I be able to, you know, carry out my day to day without speaking the language? Am I going to be able to acclimate? There's so many things that go through your, and it takes sometimes talking to, I have clients that will send me WhatsApp messages and I got to talk them off the ledge. And it just, I'm serious. I have to talk them off the ledge. It's like, and if we were talking, you know, in person, you could almost hear the pitch go off, you know, where dogs could hear it. They're just freaking out. And it just takes me back to when I was moving here. I went through a lot, Patrick. I mean, it was just very traumatic. Okay. Yeah. Because there was so much to do. Then you had the criticism of people. What are you doing? Are you going crazy? You guys are losing it.
And the worst of the friends in the family, the worst ones.
I gotta tell you, I lost friends when I moved over here. They're like, we're not going to be a party to this. You're losing it. You know, this is unreasonable. Why are you doing this? And there are things, and I, you know, that you have to do because you feel it. Yeah. You can't really explain it. You know, you got to do it. It's just something that comes to you, and you have to do it. And I swear, you become robotic about doing it, and you can't even understand why. But something is just driving you to do it. Do it. You know, the universe is guiding you. So I went through so much. So whenever my clients come to me, I'm feeling their pain. I'm reliving it in some of these people because I felt the same way. But I got to tell you, the best move I ever made.
I cannot say anything less than exactly that statement. It is worth a little bit of the pain and heartache and frustration and the unknown of that fear base. But the best part of all of it is us all around saying to the people, don't worry, I'll hold your hand through it because guess what? This is what's going to happen next. Oh, no, it's not. And then it does. It's part of the process. It's like everything. Becoming a father for the first time, a mother for the first time. You look to people that have already been through a process to get some guidance and reassurance.
And I'm so happy that you're helping my other clients as well. I can't tell you how much I appreciate, you know, the fact that I can refer people to you that I know need the guidance. They need to feel sure about what to invest in, where to buy, and what you go through, you know, what you do for people to make them feel, not only just get them a great investment, but feel comfortable about the decisions they're making. You don't know how much I appreciate that, because that's what I tried to do with this conference. I wanted to create an expat community where anybody who wants to come, hey, join the club. Whatever you need is here.
Before we forget, let's talk about the event that just happened and the event for the future. Tell the world again.
So, and I got to take you back a little bit before. I used to do these conferences with another consortium, but I found that they were a little bit limited in the coverage that they gave of the Dominican Republic. I guess when you talk about the entire globe, because they had a lot of countries that they promote, it's hard to be able to give, you know, a complete a breakdown of all that is available in each country. You have to just pick your 2 or 3 areas and, be done with. You have to kind of gloss over, what the country has to offer. So I got the idea to start doing conferences focused only on the Dominican Republic, not a conference talking about 5 countries, because then it would happen that you had 5 countries represented in these conferences, and then people started to mix. Like they would come to and be like, so what's the golden visa? And I'm like, you ain't getting that here. We don't offer a golden visa. That's the next table over. So it was just too much. So I wanted to do a conference where it was all focused on the Dominican Republic. And I wanted to do this back in 2020, and then COVID hit. We actually had the dates, hotel, everything. COVID hit. And so we finally got, God's time. So we finally got to do it May 6th and 7th, and Patrick was there. It was fabulous. People are still talking about it. I mean, people came with all of this enthusiasm. We had a problem with spacing because I figured it was the first, conference. I wanted to keep it small. So I said, 50 people. Remember? I told them 50 people. The next thing you know, I mean, we were overflowing with folks. We were like, oh, Lord, what are we going to do now? It was just crazy. So, but the enthusiasm, I absolutely loved, the synergy between the participants and the presenters. It was just amazing. Yeah. So, and
the people were showing up with like a notepad, and when you're presenting, it's always nice to see people looking down, looking up, looking up. Because they're paying attention. They're in school.
They were.
For their life. Yeah.
And you didn't know this, but we actually had people coming to the door. People coming to the door wanting to they didn't register, so they wanted to buy their way into the conference. It was just amazing. It was an incredible experience. So we scheduled another one. And this is going to be February 3rd and 4th. We already have registrations off the charts. Everybody wants to come. Word of mouth. They all want to come down. And so, you're all invited. Whoever wants to come, we'll make we'll provide you with the link, Patrick.
Yeah, we'll put all the link in the notes down below so everyone can register, and we'll be presenting as well.
Absolutely.
And some of the people who were there were major residential developments throughout the country.
They were.
Real estate brokers from the various areas, cities and beaches, property management and service providers, banks, insurance companies, YouTubers, expat YouTubers that are living here to give feedback by zone. And the funny guy, I forgot his name now, but
Russell. Oh, no, Jeff. No. What was his name? It was, Johnny Mueller.
Not Johnny Mueller, yeah. Man, that guy was like a stand-up artist.
Johnny Mueller.
But, I mean, this guy I think he's close to 70, but he looks like he's 35. And he's been living abroad in the Latin world for more than 30 years or 40
Johnny's years. Amazing. We love John. Johnny Mueller. He's something else.
Ton of funny stories, and because everyone, some people are very serious, like the insurance companies and the banks. Yeah, and then Johnny gets up and says, "Let me show you my slideshow." And it's a very casual, but it was great. I mean, we all had fun.
We all had fun.
The actual recordings of this year's past in May, the session, the event you put on. Those are available for purchase too, I think, correct?
Yes.
So that link we're going to put down below as well, so that you can listen to all the talks that happened and get yourself caught up. It's a very reasonable price to begin with, and then sign up for next year. It's well worth doing. And what normally happens pre that or post that, there'll be real estate tours as well. That's what happened this time. So some people went to Punta Cana. And of course, next time we'll know in advance and we'll say, come to Las Terrenas or come up to Sosua Cabarete or go up to Punta Cana, so that people can have a stay and learn. So type of situation.
And I'm glad you brought that up because there are going to be about 100 people in attendance. And so I want to set up the tours. And I want to take advantage and say that we're offering for people who sign up for the tour, Samana, over in Las Terrenas, we're doing a VIP program. So you do a weekend in Samana, right? And we charge a certain amount. That VIP program will get you lifetime registry to all future events, recordings, materials, 3 hours of free consultation with me and or any of the experts, that come to the conference. And so we're doing these tours alongside that VIP program. So those who want to do a tour of Las Terrenas, we're going to come over to, Patrick is obviously going to be our host. We'll be there and we'll do all of the logistics, but you'll get to see Patrick's project, and we'll be able to set up, talks about, banking, financing, anybody who's interested, we could, get the process going. And we'll also be able to do, mini talks about what we just talked about, residency. Yeah. We'll do free consultations with everybody there to see what kind of residency you qualify for. So it's going to be great. I'm going to send you the information, Pat. Okay. And I would love to we want to set up a weekend tour to Las Terrenas. Las Terrenas right now, guys, is the hot spot. I mean, we have international magazines writing about Las Terrenas. Yeah. This guy's sitting in the place to be. Everybody writes about that, okay? So much so that my staff started to complain and says, we're putting his link on our website. Let them go direct. Unless Patrick wants to pay us a salary, he's handling his own phone calls.
we may just do so. Because it goes back and forth. We send clients back and forth. We're there for the specific reason of making it easier for everybody. Right?
Yeah, and I have to ask you, because a lot of people just started talking about your project. We're about to write up a newsletter, people who listen, guys, those of you who buy into his project will qualify for a $500 discount in your residency process. Excellent. So to those of you who buy into his project, you get a discount. All right. And we're about to circulate a newsletter, but people just started calling us after they heard the recordings. And my staff is very legal minded, They want to talk about law. They want to talk about processes, their strategy. So they're like, boss, we're not a real estate agent. So I'm actually wanted to discuss that with you, to put your link on our website. I don't want my staff giving me attitude anymore, because they really do. They get upset. They're like, we're not doing this. Mm. So they just started giving out your number. We lost track.
Well, look, I think as we go and wrap up the call, because we're almost at 55 or 60 minutes now, just know this: we have deliberately left out what it costs to go through a process for immigration, specifically for the reason, like we just said, there's so many variations of time, energy, and what's required. So we're not avoiding it. We just know, like, it would be a 17-hour video if we went through every single one. So book down below. We'll either have a calendar link for you if you have a Calendly account, or all the contact information from Maria will be down below. Set up a time, say you were on the video, just so we know where you came from. The source is always something we track as business people. And let's continue to have open discussions on education, on all things. And in fact, I'll say, Maria, we had 1 or 2 clients, I believe, that bought in Vibe as a direct result of meeting at your event. So that's a very we're very thankful for that. So we appreciate your.
Well, there will be a lot more people, because I got to tell you, they loved it, and those who bought after the recordings went on sale, that's when they really started to focus on Las Terrenas. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens there are other international magazines writing about Las Terrenas. So these folks were just like, we just started giving your information out to half the world. Cool. And it's going to be great. Las Terrenas is an excellent. I love the energy there, but I'm very much into energies, so I love the energy there. Great.
Well, speaking of that, Etno Beach Club, which is the place that it's 80s night on Friday night. Guess what? I need to have a nap now because I am a pensioner, and I have to get ready to go out to dance.
I'm so jealous.
He's
doing it on purpose, you guys. Okay, he's doing it on purpose.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it this way: this relocating to the Dominican Republic gives you more energy. It 100% does, because everything's better, everything's easier, everything's more flexible and oriented that way, and very social. So you'll learn that by being here. So as we say, do not forget to like, subscribe, share this video with everybody, because all this content is going to help more than just you and I and Maria. So make sure you do that. And as we always say when we wrap up every single video, we say life is better at the beach. Or in your case, the city today.
Yeah, fix it.
Okay, you have a great evening, and I'll think of you when I'm dancing to the 80s on the dance floor.
Oh, goodness. Take selfies. Take selfies. I want to see selfies. Well, thanks for having me over. It was great.
All right. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.